foul. It's no blood, no foul.
It's no blood, no foul. Emotions spill on the court when you proud to rep your city. New York's the hometown. Playgrounds prepare me for them hard fouls. Diving on the asphalt and driveways.
What's going on, everyone? And welcome to the latest edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast presented by Real GM. I'm your host, Slice, and I'm joined with my co-host, Coke and Kyle. Unfortunately, Jim is unable to join us today, but we do have our executive producer, Moo, with us. You know, the Knicks said 5 wasn't enough as they won their 6th straight game this season in a Sunday matinee victory over the Pelicans for the second time in 3 games over New Orleans, 122-112 to improve to 31-27 for the season. You know, close first quarter saw the Pelicans take a 25-21 lead heading into the second. RJ's 10 points kept the Knicks into it in the early half there. You know, Julius dropped 16 then for the Knicks in the second as they outscored the Pelicans 36-19 in that quarter to take a 57-43 lead heading into the halftime break. You know, Zion had 14 to lead the New Orleans Pelicans, and as I mentioned, Julius Randle had 16 to lead the Knicks. The Pelicans then outscored the Knicks by 13 in the third quarter to tie the game at 79 to head into the fourth. And the fourth saw the Pelicans take a quick 5-point lead, but to end the quarter, Derrick Rose found Reggie Bullock for a nice corner three, which tied the game at 103 to force it to overtime. The Knicks then outscored the Pelicans by 10 in the extra period to close out one of the best wins for the squad this season. Fellas, 6 in a row for the Knicks, something we didn't think we were going to see all season and that we haven't seen for about almost 7 years now. You know what I mean? Julius Randle, 4 straight 30-plus point games. If he's not all-NBA third team or in the MIP leaders, he better be now, or the NBA has a lot of questions to answer. Before I get too hyped after this one, Coke, kick us off with your thoughts, man.
Well, you know, it wasn't always pretty, but at the end of the day, we got the job done. And like you said, the Knicks win their 6th straight and what I consider arguably the best win of the season. You know, we started off with, RJ Barrett. He handled the scoring load in the first quarter, got 10 points, got the game going for us. And then, Julius Randle stepped up and he took over the baton in the second quarter. And, I want to talk about Randle in depth a little bit. We gave him his flowers as far as improving the jumper, improving the handle. But a part of his game that's been underrated this year is the guy's footwork. I mean, the separation that he continues to create in the mid-range and even on step-back threes is just looking elite at this point. So, back in the days, we used to groan a little bit when he would take those shots, but now it's like, it's becoming automatic again. He didn't have the percentages today, but he had a tough matchup going against a physical guy in Zion that can wear on you, even though Zion isn't like a good defender. Just dealing with that body though can tire you out. And we saw Randle push through that, had another big scoring game, really led the team until the fourth quarter when other guys could step up and carry us home. We saw RJ, he fouled out. But, we got big contributions from Derrick Rose again, who looks like he's got his second win after coming back from COVID. And now he's playing up to par the way he was playing earlier on, when he got acquired and he gave us a boost. So we're getting a second boost from him. And then we got to talk about Reggie Bullock, who's turning into Mr. Consistency. You know what I'm saying? Again, he hits 2 huge threes, one to tie the game and another one in the fourth. And I also got to, not the fourth in overtime, but I also got to go back to Rose because that was a smart play by Rose. He really baited the defender. We were down 3. He drove to the paint, had a wide open lane. They should have just let the guy go. They still would have been up 1 even if he dunks it. But, Lonzo Ball, my guy, cheats off his man, leaving Bullock wide open, and he drained it. So, major props to Reggie Bullock for continuing to be the shooter that, we doubted him at first on being. I was calling him a fake shooter for a while. But, I would like to get his numbers on the second half of the season if anybody can pull that up. Second half of the season, I know he's got to be well over 40% with his threes. I mean, it's just, he's becoming a very reliable shooter. And, that 3-and-D presence was there. So, again, big contributions across the board. I got to shout out Noel, too. Hit 2 big free throws in the fourth that contributed to allowing us to get that game-tying 3. If he doesn't hit those free throws, then we're behind, at a deficit where the 3 won't really matter. And in overtime, he comes through with another highlight block. And I got to point out that the guy was injured early in the first half. He looked like he was dealing with a lot of pain. He pushes through, comes through, and he baited BI into that dunk attempt, and he steps in late and just punches it. He knew it was going to hurt that hand that was injured, and he sacrificed for the team. So big shout out to Noel as well. So Kyle, give me your thoughts, man.
So while you're talking, I did look up. So since the All-Star break, Bullock is shooting 43% on 7 threes a game. So pretty good. That's really good. I'm glad you shouted out Noel. I was going to bring him up as someone I thought made a few big plays on stretch. The one play you didn't mention, and the one play that's not going to show up in the stat sheet, is that huge box out on Steven Adams. I forget if that was in the fourth or overtime. Like, that was the one thing that immediately caught my eye, because all throughout the game you saw, Adams was just working us on the offensive boards, and that was one big reason why we started losing, is because we were getting stops, we just couldn't get the board. But then at the end there, Noel makes the adjustment. He says, you know what, I ain't getting this rebound, but I'm going to make damn sure you're not getting it either. And then just the rest of the team, team rebounding. That's what I'm talking about. And I actually looked this up kind of tangentially. I was gonna rag on Noel for this a little bit coming in, but I'm just gonna bring it up as a point of this is an example of what he needs to work on. Is when he's off the court, we have our best defensive rebounding percentage out of anybody. So it goes up to 76.3%, and when he's on the court, it's at 71.4. So that doesn't sound like a huge difference, but you gotta remember that's the percentage of defensive rebounds you get. Talking about, you get like maybe 90 something possessions a game. That's 3 to 4 offensive rebounds. If you score on 2 of those, that can really change a close game. So that's the. I know. Slice was saying he was going to fight Moo on whether or not we should bring Noel back. But I get why Moo doesn't want him as a starter, because you got to be able to clean up the boards. And with that, Moo, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly like you said, right? I'll give it to Noel, right? He's doing great. He's a great team defender, and he challenges shots. He gives it all, right? He doesn't have much, right? It's 200 pounds, and he's giving it all. So you have to love that. That's the type of ball that the Knicks used to play. So Kyle, this is what fans of good teams feel like.
I think he was around for that 2012 team. But
was he? Okay.
I mean, I was alive. I have to say, I didn't get into basketball until later in my life. Right. I missed the 2013 team. The Knicks have not won more than 32 games since I've been here. I'm the bad luck charm, guys. I'm sorry.
So this is how it feels. You go into games expecting the team to win, and when they're down, because the game is always an up and down roller coaster sometimes. You expect them to win, so you're not getting too high. I said, my blood pressure is going up. It's been down for the last 6, 7, 8 games. When they're playing, I'm expecting them to win. There were stretches of this game where it looked like, right? You're waiting for the Pelicans to take over. Man, I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, whatever, right? So, and we see what's happening. They don't give up. They grind. They maximize what they have. The reality is the Knicks are still lacking in a lot of areas, but they're maximizing everything they have, right? Randle's essentially being what I think, the Pelicans, SVG wants Zion to be. And I don't know about, I'll talk about that later, but I'm not liking that. But yeah, back to this. Yeah, everything, I'll give credit to Noel, right? He was a big factor. Rose as well, big factor. Even Bullock, right? He did a few things that I still didn't quite like in this game, but overall, excellent. He hit clutch threes, and he did what he needed to do, and the team did what they needed to do. I'm feeling good. Slice.
Yeah, no. So I like that you say your blood pressure didn't rise this game. Mine did. You know what I mean? Because the Pelicans took a couple of leads, which really scared me. And especially in the fourth quarter when they took that lead, the Knicks had a 13-point lead going into the third quarter, blowing it going into the fourth. And then in the fourth, let the Pelicans come back. But you know what? I think you're right. I think I should start relaxing a little bit, because this is not the Knicks teams we've seen most of the 2000s now. The team is able to hold on and reserve and get onto their reserves, hold back. And Julius Randle is the best Knick we've seen since Carmelo Anthony. And I don't want to hear anybody else say otherwise. If you're going to disrespect Julius or Melo, you can call me out on it. Our chats are open. Kyle, I know you might not be into Melo because of the stats. Some of these advanced stat guys don't like Melo, but I'm going to call it out. Julius Randle is our best player since Carmelo Anthony. And you know what? 4 straight 30-point games is something we haven't seen from a scorer who wants to take over, who is not afraid, and that mid-range elbow jumper or baseline jumper. Melo used to like to hit it like Kobe, like Jordan, off a fadeaway. I love how Julius likes to take the step in, step back, create that separation. It's something beautiful for me to see. That mid-range jumper might not be Kyle and other analytics' favorite types of jumpers to take, but I love watching it go in because if you can't hit a mid-range jumper and you can't hit those hard twos, you're not going to be able to create that separation that's needed. Coke mentioned Derrick Rose before. I've been hyping him up for, I said his last 5 games, he's over 12 points. Today, he averaged over 20 points. He got over 20 points for us, 23 on 9 of 17 shooting. Second most points, second most shot attempts after RJ and before Julius, which is fine with me. I think with Alec Burks being out, Derrick Rose, 23 points is a big slice out the box. And Coke, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes on this one. My biggest slice out the box is Lonzo Ball, actually, yo. His 5 points today, saying, everybody wanted to get him back. 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. He did have 7 boards, so I guess he did attack the rebounds, what he does. But the biggest thing that we said last game was, the Pelicans don't have a big third scorer. And even though Eric Bledsoe had 22, I feel like it was a quiet 22. Lonzo was that big piece for them. And to me, Lonzo's lack of productivity really helped the Knicks get back in it when they almost seemed like they were going to blow it and keep this win.
Yeah, everyone knows I'm a fan of Lonzo Ball. This is not the Ball that I expected to see. It was a disappointment, for his showing. Could have been an audition, so he kind of bombed in that regard. But I want to shift the focus away from Ball for a reason that you alluded to. Let's keep that quiet for now. But let's talk about Eric Bledsoe. I know you said it was a quiet 22, but I feel like that got them back in the game. He came up really big in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, he had a few moments as well, and he had me scared. But he didn't have me any more scared than Tibbs had me scared. And I'll tell you why. Because when we're talking about point guards, there was a portion when RJ fouled out of the game at 4 minutes remaining in the fourth, he subs in Peyton. And we're down at that point. And I'm like, hold on, this is a deficit. We're going to need 3-point shooting. I think we were down 5, and then, time was getting low. And I could hear Stan Van Gundy just screaming out, B.I., double up. And he was trying to tell Brandon Ingram to cheat off of Peyton. And that was going to kill us if they continued to do that. But I think Tibbs recognized his error. He made a quick adjustment. The next dead ball situation, he got IQ back in there. And I feel like that was the turning point of the game. And it showed a little bit of growth on Tibbs' part. Because, I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I was already typing to you in the Discord like, hey, man, the game is lost right here. He just put Peyton in for IQ. So then when he reversed that, I was like, yes, we got a shot. And look what happens. We end up pulling it through. So I think that was a pivotal moment, in us being able to, get back in the game and have a legitimate shot to claim victory.
So Coke, let me stir some shit up with you real quick, though. Hold up. My bad, Kyle. But let me stir up some shit with Coke real quick. Because you were the one who was shitting on Frank Ntilikina a little bit. But Frank comes in, and the opposing defense is not able to cheat off Frank like they do Elf, correct?
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll never say that Elf
correct.
Is Frank. My only thing with Frank is I don't believe you could play him over a guy like RJ or a guy like Burks. But,
not at all.
Those 2 wings are out.
He should play over Knox, though.
Yeah, because of the defense and the 3-point ability. I'll give you that. Knox isn't the defender that Frank is. And at that point, you need stops when you're behind. I don't care if you score the ball. Trading baskets is not going to do you nothing at that point.
He's Mr. Situational. I hope he works out like a 15-year career with the Knicks as Mr. Situational. He comes in, he plays like 30 seconds a game to close. That'd be great.
Play your role well.
Yeah, so to go back to what Coke was saying about Rose and Peyton. So here's the stats take on it. When Rose and Peyton play together this year, they have a -24 net rating.
Yikes.
We're outscored by 24 points per 100 possessions with them on. It's absolutely terrible. They have a defensive rating of 126, which is like David Fizdale bad. Yeah,
Brutal.
yeah. It's just they're just it's you can't play them together. And for as much as I say, I think Quickly would be better off without Derrick Rose for a lot of it. They make a lot more sense together, and it's just like that's one of those things where like Tibbs had me worried too. I thought we were gonna lose, but then we come out and we clutch it out. Bullock hits the super clutch three to tie it there, and that's why I say that's why I like Bullock as someone in the closing lineup, because he plays good enough defense and he can hit his threes, and that's, as a role player, as your fourth or fifth player out there, that's all you need. So yeah, I also have to say though, I think this is another thing with Tibbs. Is like, I get why he's playing RJ so much with Burks out. I don't get why Randle has to play 44 minutes a game with Burks out now. Like, he is being overplayed a ton, I think, we keep saying the exhaustion is going to catch up to him. I think you saw it towards towards the end of the fourth there. He just looked dead tired, but then he kind of got that energy back. Once we started to, as a team, come together, pick him up, he got like a shot in the arm. But man, it's got to be brutal on him at this point to just be playing so many minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I think I get the sense that he's trying to pace himself. So when the game starts, he's looking for his teammates, and he's more of a facilitator. I think as the game gets tighter and closer, second half, that's when you see him, try to create more and do more things. I think the big thing about having Payton and Rose on the floor at the same time is they're kind of overlapping, right? Both guys like to drive. Rose does a lot better is the problem, right? Alfred tries, but he's just not any good. He can. He'll get a one or two layups. Okay, he's knifing through the defense, great. But the bigger picture, he just doesn't create a lot of shots, good shots. Not like Rose. Rose, even at his age, at his point in his career, he knows what to do. And we saw it, tonight. It was pretty clear. He carried the pace. He was probably the most important player on the floor, other than the obvious guy, right? So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And I think with this team as is, you want to basically sandwich, Randle with shooters, right? That's kind of Captain Obvious moment, but still, yeah, you want to get as many shooters as possible. So Bullock, Burks, IQ, RJ, since he's hitting shots, that's a winning team. As far as what they have, going forward. Then you talk about a much better starting point guard that can create better than anybody on the team, and that would just make it even better. We saw moments where Julius got the ball as he's moving, right? Not with the ball in his hands, as he's moving towards the basket, and he finishes, right? It kind of, I'm going to throw out a name, and it kind of reminds me like that. I don't mean it as an insult. I don't know if you guys remember when Eddie Curry was first coming into the league with the Bulls.
Early Eddie.
Yeah, not with the Knicks, not towards the end when he, everything just went to pot. When he was with the Bulls, you'd want him to get him the ball as he's moving to the basket. He's for a guy his size, he had such soft hands, and he moves really well, and that's what you want. I would prefer. I think Randle handles the ball too much. Right now he has to. They don't have any other choice. But if the Knicks can get a proven top-notch point guard that can pass, right? And that's why Lonzo comes into the picture, right? Lonzo may not be able to create shots, but he can pass, right? He can handle the ball and he can pass. If you could get Randle better looks, he'll be even more dominating. Kudos to him to be able to do the things he's doing right now this season, with basically him creating for everybody else and himself.
So until the other two big things Lonzo does, he can shoot and he plays defense. And that just that's pretty much why I want him. Like, you get a guy who can shoot and play defense, and he's not just a 3-and-D guy. Like you say, he can pass. He's not going to provide you much penetration, but he's a good passer, and he's a good shooter and a good defender. That's really all you need. He's more of a floor raiser than a ceiling raiser, but I think that's about as good as we're going to get this offseason. So looking at the chat, Gip wants to know if we want to pay $20 million for Lonzo. I still think I would do it just because you gotta. We need an upgrade at point guard. He's really the only one out there. Is it an overpay? Probably. but it's just one of those things you're gonna have to do. And then Rob, you can make anybody look good comparing them to Peyton. That's true. And I want you guys tell me I'm wrong. If the ball had been in Peyton's hands on that drive at the end of the game, that he would have taken that layup and not passed out the block. Tell me I'm wrong.
Super facts.
We all know that.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
oh no, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
yeah, no. And then we would have lost, and you'd have been looking around like, "What happened, guys? What is that? This never happens."
I wanted to touch on something about just like the feel of the game and the physicality. Like I like what we went through tonight because to me, it's a precursor of what we might see in the playoffs. The second half of the game, the Pelicans, they just really came out and they matched our physicality. They played with more effort. They were beating us to loose balls. And let's talk about the offensive rebounds. I feel like their front line, Zion, Steven Adams, and Jackson Hayes, they just dominated the offensive glass. And that was the key to getting them back in the game. And I think we needed to go through that because when we, face a front line that's big and physical as Zion and Steven Adams, and then you got Jackson Hayes, who's, he's a gazelle running the floor. He got athleticism. He can match Noel in that regard. It kind of forced us to pick up our intensity and match their physicality. And what I saw with Zion controlling the ball and, functioning as a point forward in the fourth quarter and overtime, we made more of an effort to get physical with him, to frustrate him. We saw him complaining to the refs. At one point in the fourth, he didn't get back on defense. And I feel like that's how you beat Zion. If he's going to be physical, even if you can't, be as strong as him, just bring it back to him. Meet force with force. Make this guy work. He's overweight. He seems to tire out a little bit. I saw them give him a breather at a weird point in the game where they just called the timeout that really wasn't in. No, I think they fouled where it wasn't in the flow just to get him out of there for a minute. That's what you got to do against a physical team. I love the fact that we matched the physicality. And now that we're on the Pelicans, I just want to, just give some observations on one of their young guys, Kyra Lewis, a point guard that, a lot of fans were high on. They wanted us to maybe look at him at our pick, last season. And I'm not impressed. I feel like he plays at only one speed. He looked out of control in the limited minutes that he got. He only wants to play fast. He doesn't really have a lot of pace to his game. He doesn't catch defenders off balance and, move at different paces with misdirection or anything like that. What do you guys think about him?
So first, let me address your point first with the toughness, right? And this is where I think Taj Gibson deserves a shout out. 14 rebounds tonight, 6 offensive. So Taj Gibson has really stepped up with Mitchell Robinson out. I feel like the Knicks, you can't bring up any conversation about toughness on the Knicks, hustle on the Knicks, energy on the Knicks without bringing up Taj Gibson, because there's been a lot of games lately where Taj has, had to switch onto the point guard. We've seen him hustle, dive on the floor, right? And this might have been a little bit before our 6-game win streak, but there was a few plays where Taj used to get up to the point guard, poke the ball away, and hustle on the floor. But lately with games that we've seen, when Nerlens Noel has gone out, and Nerlens has played with a whole nother level of energy. But right now we're going to talk about Taj. Taj has played with that level of energy where he's going to embody what our podcast is called. No blood, no foul. Taj Gibson embodies that. And he is the sole reason the Knicks keep that toughness on the defensive end and on the glass. So I want to give a shout out to Taj. Nerlens has those momentum-changing blocks, and Nerlens, we all say he's skinny, all that stuff, but you guys shouted it out before, that box out. But to me, Taj Gibson has embodied that for our second unit, and he's been playing really tough. Now, to your point about Kyra Lewis, there really is not much need to be said about this guy. He's just a bum rookie. We have a bum rookie in Obi Toppin. They got a bum rookie in Kyra Lewis. So to that's the only breath I'm going to waste on these guys. Mo, I'll kick it over to you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's, regarding Noel and Taj, that's exactly what I've been talking about. So that's one of the things, right? So with Taj, he's going to not allow the other team to plant themselves deep in the paint. Noel does that all the time, right? Again, obviously a player can't be perfect, right? So I've said Noel has his strengths, he has his weaknesses. It's really a matter of finding the guy whose strengths and weaknesses maximizes the team that you have, because that's ultimately whoever they place at center, unless they bring in a big name, which is probably not happening, he's a role player. So role players need to fit the team. right? Not the other way around. Your star players, you fit the role players, right? You fit around your star players. For your role players, you need the role players that maximize and fits the team you have. So does Taj offer a better option? Possibly, right? Noel's problem is, again, not being able to hold his ground. Okay, he tries. He just can't. We see that. And that's on the offensive end. As far as, I tell you right now, I think a lot of folks thought that, and what's his name again? He was so inconsequential, the point guard that you guys are talking about.
Kyra?
Yeah,
Kyra, whatever his bum ass.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the talks. I think folks had an image of De'Aaron Fox in their heads. And I said, he's not Fox. He's not as quick. His shot creativity, his finishing ability is not as anywhere near as good. So what you have is just really a guy that can run up and down the court, right, with the ball in his hands. And he might look great if nobody's guarding him. But in the NBA, that's not happening, right? So I think that contributes to why he looks, kind of like an OB-ish version of a point guard, right? OB as a PF, he's the OB of point guard. Physically, yeah, he's quick. OB's quick, right? If you leave him wide open, OB can, do some really spectacular things. But he doesn't have the real skills for an NBA point guard. And this is something I pointed out in the draft, all the draft discussions that we had. And we're kind of seeing it. It's still early, so there may be but I'm not liking it. I'm not liking his game. And while we're talking about, I'm not liking Zion as a point forward. I just don't think that's his strength. Both because Zion as a point forward reminds me kind of like Julius last season. A lot of times he'll get, blinders on, he'll start dribbling and dribbling into double teams, getting stripped or blocked. He's got two other guys, right? Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. That's honestly, their points in the game, I don't even know why they're on the floor. If I was Ingram, I'd be wondering, why am I even here? Right. Ingram I think he had 20 points, right? But he was pretty much invisible in the entire game. I barely knew that he was even on the floor. And we're talking about a really talented guy that can, create, can shoot, can pass, can defend. And he was invisible. The same thing with Lonzo. So me personally, I think something, right, for you to do as well as you do, you have to have a positive mentality, mind frame. I don't get the sense that Lonzo or Brandon Ingram appreciate Zion as a point forward. He's holding the ball. The ball's going through him way too much. It's just my take on it.
Just to expand on that real quick, though, I'm going to hit a point that you haven't brought up in regard to that. The reason why I don't like him on the ball is because he is a very efficient scorer, and I think you need to maximize that. If you got a point guard who can play fast and who could suck in the defense, you could just throw in him alleys, get him the ball in motion, get him going downhill. I think with him functioning as a playmaker, you're slowing up the offense. I think they need to play faster. You're forcing him to be a facilitator rather than a finisher. I'm with you. I don't like it at all. And, even with all his physicality, I just want to look at the other side of the ball because I don't think people talk about this as much. With all those physical tools, he is just a poor NBA defender. I mean, we saw him in college, coming over with help defense, making monster blocks and steals. But really, the only thing he does defensively is just rip balls out of people's hands. But if you remove that, when you talk about man-to-man defense, off-the-ball defense, help defense, he's really not there.
So
that's why I like the Barkley comparison.
So to go back a second. So Moo, when you say about Brandon Ingram being invisible, it's kind of the same issue that Nerlens Noel has, right? He's so skinny that when he turns sideways, he sort of like disappears. So you just don't see him. And then So about Kyra Lewis, because I was on the Kyra Lewis bandwagon. I didn't want him at 8. I thought that would have definitely been an overdraft. I had Obi ahead of him on my board. I had him as my for guys I thought would realistically be available at 8. I had him second in point guards. I had Halliburton above him. So I think when I watch him, he's a rookie. He's not very good. He like you say, his skills are kind of underdeveloped. He's very quick, very fast, athletic. He doesn't have the. I forget. It's like how we compared Noel having horizontal explosiveness to Mitch having vertical explosiveness. He only has that horizontal explosiveness. He's not
No
very
wiggle.
vertical.
No wiggle.
Yeah, that too. He's not so he needs to develop his skills. But to go to what Coke said about when you want Zion to be off the ball, you want a guy who can drive in, penetrate, dish. I think that's what they thought they were getting with Eric Bledsoe, and I think that's what they hope that Kyra develops into. So that's going to be a thing of like if they can develop Kyra into that point guard who can get by his defender, who can finish at the rim and then dish out. I think that's what the idea is. But other than that, I think the Pelicans were handed a great starting, a great rebuild, and they really haven't lived up to that. It's kind of like how the Timberwolves just like have been stuck in the mud with Cat for just years and years and years. To the point they're still competing for top picks, and he's what 26, 25 now, and it's just like they're not going anywhere. So I think that's kind of like I think they represent like the kind of the fear of tanking of you keep drafting the wrong guys, and then you have a whole bunch of missed picks. So it's just really going to be on is Stan Van Gundy the coach for them? Can he develop the young core they have? Because they do have some pretty decent young players. I mean, Lonzo Ball's probably leaving this offseason because they don't want to pay him. But other than that, you just got to, develop them. Hope that, like Coke said, you get one of your guys to be able to drive, penetrate, get the ball out of Zion's hands, and use him as a finisher because he's not really good enough right now to be a playmaker.
What other young players do they have to develop, though, right? If Lonzo leaves, you have Zion, you have Brandon Ingram, who is he really young? He's been in the NBA for a little bit, right? And then who else do you really have that's young? I know Brandon Ingram's 23. He's not that old, but Kyra Lewis, I don't think he's it. Willie Horton Gomez, you can say he's young, but we already saw how he looked on the Knicks. Okay, you have two players. You have two players? Jackson Hayes?
Yeah, Jackson Hayes.
Alex Underwater. I mean, that's about it. I don't think they have that young talent that's there to really get them anywhere. You have Zion, and you got a bunch of players you're hoping are good. Jackson Hayes is all right to me. I don't think he's going to grow. Yeah. He's not a Mitch. He's not a Jared Allen. He's not somebody you're comparing. He's not somebody you're comparing to those high-level echelon centers or, young centers who have a high ceiling. You think Jackson Hayes is going to be I think Jackson Hayes' ceiling is Nerlens Noel. Honestly speaking, has he showed anything else to be more than Nerlens Noel? Who else? So to my question, right, I like the Pelicans. I like Zion. I like Brandon Ingram. If Lonzo leaves, they don't have any other young talent to grow with them. So my question is, a lot of people look at them like a great young team where there are one or two players leaving and then they're back to the bottom of the barrel.
I think they have Zion and Ingram, as you said, but they also have a bunch of picks. Don't forget the trades that they made, the GM Griffin to bring in some assets. So I think, they do have the assets to take a few shots.
Late 20s Bucks picks, late 20s Bucks picks. They got a hit, I guess, but they got assets, but late first rounders are.
Yeah, that's true. I think they got a pick from the Lakers as well, but that's going to be late as well. So
it's kind of like the Knicks, right? The Knicks have a lot of draft assets, but they're not really projected to be all that great.
Yeah. I think what they might try to do is consolidate at some point for like a NBA ready talent, but we'll see how that works out for them because they're not a big free agent destination, and they're kind of tight with money with the amount of with the contract they invested in Steven Adams.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because when Slice brought up Jackson Hayes, because like how much what does it tell you when you draft a guy in the top 10, right, in Jackson Hayes who can only play center? You go and trade for Steven Adams. Not only do you start him over Jackson Hayes, but you extend his contract to be as long as Jackson Hayes' contract is. And you give him $35 million. That just tells me they really have no confidence in Jackson Hayes to develop at this point.
I mean, it could be that, or they thought they would be further along than they are right now. So, I mean, it's possible that you see a guy like, a freak like Zion and say, hey, he's going to give us a rebuild, a big push, and we'll be right back in the thick of it in a year or two. And that's why you bring in someone like Steven Adams. Adams I like Adams. I've always liked Adams. I think he's very, very talented in a role-playing sense in that he's a big body. He moves well. He'll rebound. He'll defend. So it's, that's the type of guy when you think, hey, I'm probably one or two guys stepping up away. And I don't know that the Pelicans are. There's Zion, right? Ingram doesn't seem to fit with Zion. Lonzo, it's pretty clear. I'm pretty sure the reason he wants out is because he's saying, if you're going to run the ball through Zion, why am I here for? Right? It's not going to help my career. It's not going to help my brand. It's not going to help my, whatever dollars I'm going to make. So get me out of here. I would expect Ingram at some point, if they keep going this route, he's going to want out too. I would if I was him.
I mean, Moo, do you think it's really, because to me, the more I watch Zion, the real it's more apparent. Zion and Charles Barkley is a very, very it's a spot on comparison to me, based on the fact that they're about their points, they're about their rebounds, they're not going to play defense too well, and they're going to be more ball dominant. Where you saw Kevin Johnson with Chuck, who was an amazing point guard, very talented, but he's so underrated because he played with a player like Charles Barkley. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, do you think that that's probably the best player comparison for Zion right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zion's is obviously a little bit more athletic, and Barkley was quite a bit, maybe a little bit more talented, especially with being able to offensively. I see Zion more as offensively. He's just using his strength and athleticism and explosiveness to just get to the bat. Nobody can stop him, which is more power to him. But he doesn't have a shot.
I feel like Chuck back in the day was that athletic, though, that explosive.
He was.
I've seen highlights. I've seen highlights, man. I think you're underselling Barkley's athleticism. So I watch that and go, "Oh my god, how did he do that?"
No,
that's why I think the Zion Chuck comparison. It's hard for me to think of. People say grandmama, but I think Chuck is the best comparison, just based on the rebounds and just more explosive. He's a better player.
Yeah. So I think so. Yeah.
So before we move on, I gotta catch up on the chat a little bit. So Jersey says he's just here because Knicks Fans TV is trash. I'm not gonna start a beef with them yet. I think we need to get a little bit bigger before we can do that. But then we'll win that beef. But Rob Collins, Kevin Knox appreciation post. He got minutes and we won. You know what they always say, Rob? Correlation does not equal causation. Gip says Knox will be okay.
That last play that Frank Fowley on the three. That'd probably get him back into the end of the bench.
He'll still be situational. He'll still come in.
Mr. Situational. And then Rob comes back with quickly outplayed Kyra Lewis in college. Some things never change. Yeah, and then that was something that I brought up too. Is in the game thread is when I was watching, there were two transition plays where Kyra had the ball and quickly was the only one back, and he forced a turnover or a missed shot on both of them. And so I was like, man, quickly he really he stepped up and played really solid transition defense there. So I think Tibbs is going to love to see that, and hopefully that gets him a little more minutes, man, because I can't watch too much more of Peyton. I know we only got 14 games left in the season. That's going to be too much.
I'm circling back to the chat, man. I like what Jersey said. This is the No Blood, No Foul podcast. Me personally, I don't run from the smoke. I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? Whether we rookies or not. Our fans speak. I feel you, bro. This is the place to be. Awkward silence. Not from me, though. I ain't scared. I'm never.
Hey, I said my point. We'll start up that beef with them later.
We ain't starting if the fans are speaking, and I'm backing up what the fans are saying. Shout out to Jersey, man.
Mm-hmm.
Fans implies plurality.
The fans say what they want to say. We don't got to say anything. The fans say what they want to say. If they prefer some other podcasts, hey, make sure you tell all your friends. We need more subscribers. We need more likes. So make sure you're doing both. So let's make sure we're doing that. But I feel like the Knicks have won 6 games straight. Why are we talking so much about the Pelicans? Before we moving on from that team, Coke, I might have alluded to it earlier, but give us your scrub of the night so we can finally get back to talking about the Knicks, please.
I gotta go with I gotta go back to the 3 to head Melo thing. You know how he's like, I'm shooting myself because I always big up Lonzo Ball, and he made me look bad tonight, dog. Real talk, he didn't look like a $20 million a year player. I know, I'm still willing to hit that number, but he didn't show that tonight.
It's a high number.
Yeah, look at the stat sheet: 5 points, 2 for 9 from field goal, 1 for 5 from 3. He did chip in 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 assists. That's, he fills the stat sheet, but he didn't really be a difference maker. But what I will say in his defense, even though I'm giving him out the scrub of the night, it's mostly because I played him up so much. But for all the negativity, the positive side is he was balanced out with a 0 plus minus, so he didn't really kill the squad. But I'm still going to give out the award anyway. I'm going to be harder on myself and on Lonzo than I am on anyone else.
You know what I'm going to say about that? You can't spell Lonzo without L.
learning, no losses.
What about the other 2 L's? Lonzo Ball. That's 3 L's right there. Learning's one of them. Losing's got to be another one.
Kyle's just getting ready for his negativity if he joins us next year.
I want him to join. I'm just poking fun here.
Nah, but let's shift it back, right? RJ Barrett fouls out early, but RJ, his 10 points in the first quarter when Julius Randle didn't score, I feel were huge because Julius has been the cog for the Knicks early on to get us scoring, to get us going, right? But today it was RJ, and everybody kind of felt like, and Moo, I think you alluded to it the most in our most recent podcast. RJ kind of takes these too personal. Is he going to want to go at Zion a little too much? I feel like, hey, that personal battle he wanted to take was really big today, right? Getting in double figures, leading the Knicks where the Knicks were only down 4 points heading into the second quarter, where if RJ didn't score or, even scored half as much, it was a double-digit lead, and it would have been a little bit harder. So I feel like, let's give a shout-out to RJ Barrett for getting out there, 7 of 15, just a shade under 50%, 2 of 4 from 3. RJ's playing well, finally had a decent game against the Pelicans in his battle against his college buddy Zion. But, let's give RJ the props tonight. I think he deserves it.
So I was gonna ask, what do you guys think? Do you guys think RJ played well tonight, or do you think he played bad somewhere between? Because you look at him, he scored a good amount in the first, and he had a lot of really bad turnovers, man. He just had so many
good.
Yeah,
he played good.
I think it depends on what at what stage of the game you're talking about. You need players to step up at certain points. First quarter, he carried the load offensively for us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he did have some turnovers, but the game has ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. I think he stepped up when we needed. In the fourth quarter, he tried to bring it again, but he already had some fouls, and it didn't end up being his night at the end. But in the first half, I think he delivered. And, he kept us, maintaining a lead until the third quarter when they began to, tie things up.
Yeah, I mean, I think, RJ, based on fan expectations, he had a bad game. But you have to remember, he's still a young guy. He's still trying to figure things out. And you can't be perfect. Right? When you get into perfect, you get into Randle, past Randle range. And that's just not realistic. He's going to have his off games, off periods. I think he was solid. He was part of a winning team. I would say, he wasn't the top 3 guy tonight as far as impacting, helping to win, but he was an important part, right? So a good game, not a great game.
Yeah, let's look at the stat sheet. I mean, I know Slice, you the stats guy, but I want to look at the stat sheet for a minute. 7 for 15 from field overall, 2 for 4 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He was pretty efficient. It's really the turnovers and the fact that he fouled out that puts a negative stench on the outing. But overall, I don't think it's a game that we can call a stinker. I think he's had other games that are far worse.
So he's pretty efficient, right? But that's only because 2 or 3 of those turnovers were him, losing grip of the ball instead of going for a missed layup. But anyways, the other guy I want to talk about is, I feel like I've brought him up a few times past games because he doesn't get any minutes. Is Obi? We're really what are we even doing for him? We're only playing him 2 to 3 minutes at a time. He's really not getting any sort of getting into the groove. He's not really getting the consistent minutes to get in and play. And he hasn't scored in his last 3 games. And then you look at him, and it's not like earlier in the year where he was getting the solid 10 minutes, 12 minutes a night, and he just lost like a deer in the headlights. Now it's just man, I know if he was out there for more, he would score. It's just I just think that's my thing. Is we should be playing Obi more than 5 minutes a night, man. Get Randle some rest. He needs it.
You can't rest Randle now. You're trying to win games, and we got Burks out, and then RJ was in foul trouble. You want to really put the rookie out there and let him work through his kinks?
Yeah.
At this stage, when you're trying to win, you're 6 in a row, you're going to turn off your vets in the locker room, man.
You played to win the game.
But what I'm saying is like you take
Kyle, I think
you
you're
take Randle
trying
out.
to get these young guys in too much. You're trying to worry about these young guys too much. We're here to win games. The Knicks are here to be in the playoffs. Obi Toppin doesn't need to play as much. Give him his 6 minutes to give Julius the rest that he needs. Other than that, I'm fine with Obi playing 5 minutes or less. 6 minutes is fine. But as a realistic fan who now the Knicks we're not fucking tanking, man. I don't want to hear anybody say tank. I don't want to hear anybody say player development. Anybody say we need to play.
You want to hear player development. You don't want to hear player development.
No. That's why I stopped.
What is that? Come on, man.
Kyle, relax. That's why I stopped myself. That's why I didn't say not player development, but we need to play these young guys more. Obi Toppin is not the young guy we need to play more. So get off the Obi train. IQ can play a little bit more. IQ brings some contribution to the team, which is why I like that he was in at the end of the game instead of Elf. That's fine. Obi Toppin, nobody needs – you know what? I don't need to hear player development for Obi Toppin. That's the summer. That's all that. So Obi Toppin and player development can go kick off to the side. So that's where, maybe that's where I was going with that. But right now the Knicks are here to win games. Julius Randle is playing. Obi Toppin is there to give Julius Randle a rest. When Julius can come back in, he'll come back in. Obi Toppin doesn't need to hear or be mentioned anymore because he's just, he's the future or a trade package to get us something better.
Obi is a Toppin. That's what he is, man. He's not the pizza right now. He's a luxury.
And
we can't sacrifice wins for development at this stage. We're trying to build credibility, man. These young players, they're gonna have to get it on their own, their own time.
Exactly. Thank you, man. Like these guys,
how much credibility are we gonna get if Randle plays himself out?
We want these guys to develop.
Randle's dead tired every night, and we start losing games.
Let's win some goddamn basketball games and enjoy these wins, man.
But Randle getting tired doesn't really have anything directly to do with player development, and I can argue that the Knicks are developing players. They're developing Randle into a third team All NBA. They're developing RJ. And it looks like they're developing IQ, even though he's hitting, rookie walls here and there. Those are the guys that they're investing on. It looks like they're trying to figure out who they want to actually invest on. Right? Because in reality is you can't invest on every single young player. Right. So they're picking their guys, and it's clear that Randle has been developed into a All NBA player. RJ is being developed as a young guy, right, same age as Obi. Into at least a solid number 2A, 3 guy, if not better. Right? That's excellent for a young player like RJ. So I think they are developing players. They're just not developing everyone, and like everybody else says, the goal is to win. That's why you have Tibbs, and that's what they want. They want to win. Tibbs wants to win. For what reason? I mean, any number of things to attract big name players. Right, like I said from the start, the plan, this front office, is not to develop young players as the main thing. Is to build on what they have so they can bring the big name guys.
And let me ask a question. Just one question. Mm-hmm. How many players in the league play 42 minutes a night? How many?
That doesn't matter, man.
Kyle, just because you're looking at your stats,
there's a reason we don't do that. There's a reason that players. There's a reason players don't play that.
Older than Kyle, just because a player is older than you doesn't mean they can't be developed. Julius is only 26.
I'm not saying. No,
that's
what you're
young
not.
for NBA.
No. Hold on. Let me lay it out. Let me
get my counter argument first.
Hold on. You're misconstruing the argument. That's not what I'm saying.
Before you get to your young player,
that's not what I'm saying.
First, before you get your young player, Julius Randle is only 26-year-old. To Moo's point, he has developed and grown from a player who was not seen as a leading NBA talent to now somebody who is almost an all-NBA caliber player. At 26 years old, you are still young in the NBA. Just because the Knicks rookie, who is seen as too old, has not been playing as much, doesn't mean the Knicks aren't developing. And my point is, before you say anything else, wins are greater than anything else, especially when you have been the Knicks for as long as you've been the New York Knicks. You need to win some goddamn basketball games, and if you're not going to win some games, it doesn't matter who the hell you drafted. Nobody's going to want to come here, and the team is going to be perpetually garbage.
See, y'all are arguing two different things for me, man. I'm not saying we need to play over more minutes to develop him. I'm saying we need to play him more minutes because Julius needs more than 6 minutes the rest of the night. You say, we want wins, right? I want us to still be able to win come playoff time. That's why I said there's a reason teams don't play guys 40, 42 minutes a night anymore. And that's because by the time you get to the playoffs, they're all so dead tired they can't do anything. You're going to get, I know we're probably going to get bounced in the first round anyways, but I'd rather it be a close series than a 4-0 blowout. Because you talk about Randle getting less minutes is just about getting him rest to make sure that, we can close out games well enough. Because I feel like, sometimes that comes back to bite us when we play him too much. And I feel like as we keep going on the stretch, playing him 42, 44 minutes a night is not helping anything, really. It's just making him more tired. So I'm not saying play Obi more minutes because I'm saying we need to develop Obi over wins. I'm saying play Obi more minutes, play Knox more minutes, play anyone to get Randle, even bring it down to like 38 to 40 minutes a night. I think that would be a massive help for us going forward as we close out the year and as we actually want to win playoff games. I'm saying it because I want to win. That's the thing. I'm not saying I want to lose more to develop. I'm saying I want to win more come playoff time. I want us to be competitive.
Let me jump in here because you're repeating the same thing. To that point, what I'm saying is this. You're looking at numbers like minutes per game comparing to other guys in the league, so on and so forth. We're dealing with players. We're dealing with personalities. If you start to sit Randle and we start to lose games, players are going to start questioning those decisions. If you're saying, let's just sit Randle just to preserve him for the playoffs. You got to get to the playoffs before you worry about the playoffs. And right now, we got veterans in the locker room who know when the game is on the line. You can't start sitting these guys and then, crucial turning points of the game, point swings, and then, every minute counts. You put Obi out there plenty of times throughout the whole first half of the season. You was playing this guy and teams were just going to run in the third quarter whenever Randle sits or in the early fourth whenever Randle sits. So I don't think you can do that. This guy, this is why he works out in the offseason. This is why he was working, doing 3 a days, when the Knicks couldn't compete in the bubble. For moments like this, he can rest in the offseason. It's not like he's been doing this, 3 years running under Tibbs. This is his first year. This is his first time playing these type of minutes. He hit a wall. He's bouncing back now. I wouldn't worry about that. I'll worry about the playoffs when we get there. I want to keep my vets
coaches, right?
I want to keep.
He knows who his coaches.
Yeah, let's keep these vets winning. Let's keep them happy, man. Certain moves if you make as a coach, players in the locker room, they're gonna start looking at it funny style. So you got to compete. You got to play to win. I know you're saying you're trying to look at the long game and win in the playoffs, but hey, I'm focused on one game at a time. We let the GMs think about the future. Tibbs is there to win every game, and that's why he tends to maximize his rosters and gets the most out of guys. He doesn't look further than one game ahead. That's it.
And that's not a recipe for success.
Kyle, I agree with you. In the sense that they shouldn't be grinding Randle like that. And I had mentioned on the board at some point early in the season that I would be looking, right? Forget it. We could look for an upgrade on point guard, but I would actually have been looking too late now. But I would have been looking for a better backup power forward. So I had thrown out a couple of names. I'm just kind of remember the names I threw out was a little bit higher end. I think it was Mike Scott was one of the guys from the Hawks. John Collins. Right, because there was rumors that the Hawks were looking to move Collins. Right? Did they?
But not for cheap. No, not for cheap.
No, it wouldn't be cheap.
That'd be a problem. That'd be a problem with the locker room because he's not going to want to come off the bench.
Correct.
He's not going to want to play 15 minutes a night.
He's not a backup. He's not a backup power forward type of guy.
Neither can play center.
Our thing is Julius Randle is our Jimmy Butler when it comes to Tom Thibodeau's star players on the team, right? Not comparing talent, just comparing where they are on the team. Jimmy Butler played 40-plus minutes, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, Kyle. You can look it up if you want. I'm sure Jimmy Butler played damn near 40 minutes a game in Minnesota when he was on those teams and later on with the Bulls. Julius Randle's going to play those minutes. I feel like we've had these conversations so damn much lately and way too much with a 6-game win streak from the team. Julius Randle's going to play heavy minutes, and that just is what it is. Yeah. Like Coke said, and like most teams, like almost everybody knows, Tom Thibodeau is here to win games. He doesn't care if our star player is playing X number of minutes. His objective is to win games. And, if Obi's only going to play 6 minutes and the Knicks are going to win 6-7 games in a row, then that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, the Knicks made the wrong draft pick. Halliburton, looking back, would have been probably the best draft pick, right? But, that's going into a whole different discussion. The Knicks don't have a backup power forward who's good. Our best backup is probably R.J. Barrett if they ever do decide to play him at power forward, which is not going to happen. But right now, Julius Randle's going to play 40-plus minutes. Like Coke said, the boy came into the season in great shape. He came in tough, looking good, came in knowing what he needed to do, and right now he's been doing what he needs to do. And, granted, I wish he was playing less minutes, but keep playing what you're playing, and I'm not looking for Obi to play more than 6-7 minutes a game, 10 max.
Mm-hmm.
And Gip made a good point. I think it was Gip. If Obi plays more, we probably would have lost. Because you're putting him in key moments in the game, and we probably would have lost the game if Obi plays more, right? This game was such a close game where, try to tell me right now, what stretch of the game where Obi would have played over Julius would have helped us out? Could anybody think of
helped? Would have helped? I don't know. Would it have helped more if he had gotten, more than 2 minutes of rest in the first quarter? Did the game rely on that when Julius Randle wasn't giving us anything in the first?
We still won a game.
Look, you're
using hindsight.
You're arguing hypotheticals, man. You're arguing hypotheticals.
So it's Slice. That's what he's doing. Slice is arguing hypothetical.
He can rest in the offseason. We can get. Yeah. Look, we need to acquire someone who is productive in short minutes to give him a rest, so we don't have the fear of if we put a guy in, there's going to be a momentum swing. Let's worry about that in the offseason. Why are we talking about this? Riding a 6-game high with Randle playing arguably his best ball during this stretch. To me, that doesn't make sense for a conversation tonight. I mean, today, we should be talking about that after the bounce from the playoffs. Was Randle tired?
When we lose in 4 games and Randle shoots like 32%, and all the national media starts going, is Julius Randle actually that good? And then people start to question, can I win?
Now you're talking about hypotheticals. You're talking about
so are you.
Like, get out of here with that. If the Knicks play well and we hit the 4 or 5 seed, we're not getting bounced in 4 games. We don't play Brooklyn, Philly, or Milwaukee, who are teams where there's no shame losing in freaking 4 games to, man. You're worried about getting to the playoffs.
Honestly, I think the Knicks.
I said Philly,
you named 4 teams, or Milwaukee. Man.
Yeah, I said Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee. That's 3 teams. Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee.
I don't know. I heard 4.
That's 3 teams.
So
let's move on to the next game. Those are 3 teams. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about the Knicks getting 7-game win streak. We played the Charlotte Hornets, who are without Lonzo Ball, who's looking at a great rookie year. I think it's the game the Knicks win. But Cope, I'll kick it off to you for your prediction on that game.
I'm going to keep the good vibes rolling, my dude. We going for number 7, and we're going to get it. That's how I feel. We're at home. We're hitting our stride, playing arguably our best ball of the season. Randle's balling out. RJ's been showing up for better or worse. We're getting contributions from Rose coming off the bench. I like where we're going. Yeah, I would love to have Burks, back in the lineup, but, nothing we can do about that. I'm sticking with the good vibes. I can't call a L. Knicks are going to win that one as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game. The Hornets have been kind of like the Knicks-ish, right? They're playing above what most people expected, even with LaMelo out. They when LaMelo went down, people were expecting them to just go right down into the tanker, right and they haven't. They've won against top teams. They compete, and they're kind of like the Knicks, right? They grind, and they have talented guys. Not all necessarily all NBA guys, but they grind. And they have, they play aggressive defense. So I think, it'll be an interesting game, but I have to agree with Coke. I'm going with a win. They're on a roll right now. So you go with the roll.
Yeah, I don't think the Hornets are. I think they're really not that good, especially since LaMelo Ball went out. So we got the momentum. We got to keep it going. Especially if Julius Randle's going to play 45 minutes next game. I think we're pretty good to win.
You know what we?
Hey! How about we just never rest anyone? Just play all starters 48 minutes.
What we
that's
need
a sure way
is
to win.
is an early blowout so that we can get OB like 30 minutes.
There is no way. There is no way. We would be up 50 with 5 minutes left, and Tibbs would be like, nope, still too much time. Nope.
Kyle, if you can play 37 minutes, you can play 40. I don't really think that 3 minutes of rest is that big of a deal. With the amount of stoppages and replays and ticky-tack
I'm saying 40 is fine. I'm talking about like he's playing like 42, 43 minutes. Like that's when you start getting like that's too much.
I think Kyle's point, Kyle has let the negativity of the real GM forums get to him too much. He's let them shape him as an adult too much, where he's just so negative right now, man. Everybody needs to stop being negative. 6-game win streak for the Knicks. We haven't seen this since 2013, 2014. I'm sure some of y'all were still in high school, middle school back then. Relax, calm the down, and enjoy these fucking wins, man. I'm going to censor myself because I'm sick.
Yeah, thanks for doing that now.
Yeah, I don't,
after you forgot to the first time, man.
Because I'm sick of the negativity, bro. And I'm just sitting here looking at it. Why are people so goddamn negative, man? Why are you so, he's playing so much? The Knicks won 6 games in a row. Enjoy the shit.
Conflict brings ratings, man.
Nah, enjoy the shit.
This is great. This is great for ratings, man.
No, don't be fake,
you always need
man.
someone
Don't
to be like, nah, this isn't that good.
Bro. Don't be fake bullshit. We got enough players. That's why we got enough people on the real GM board who say, I hate this team. You're not winning games like you're supposed to. Go fucking root for somebody else. Go to Brooklyn. Go to Toronto. We don't need you here. 6 games in a row. The Knicks are going to get number 7 against Charlotte, who Moose said played really well lately. With LaMelo going out, they played pretty decent. Scary Terry has been pretty well. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be the blowout, the cakewalk that people might think it's going to be, but I think the Knicks get 7 in a row. And to the point of Alec Burks being out, the Knicks have Charlotte, Atlanta, then Toronto, and then the 10 days window for the health and safety protocol passes before we get a very tough, I think, second or first place in the West Phoenix team. So if the Knicks can win 2 out of the next 3, in terms of Charlotte, Atlanta, Toronto, realistically, right, you can't go for 3 in a row. I'm thinking so, but win 2 out of the next 3, and then Alec Burke comes back for a big Phoenix game. I think that'll be very huge for the momentum going forward for the Knicks. So I'm predicting a win against Charlotte. Let's start to wrap it up here, fellas, after a good win. Coke, I'll kick it off to you for your final thoughts, man.
Well, it's just a little comedy, man. It was a funny moment in the game for me. Randle comes through and he hits that game-deciding 3, and the play gets reviewed. The ref goes to look at the 3, and he comes back and does this like dramatic pause. And I think it just goes to show how these refs want to be stars, man. Like they want the spotlight so bad. It was like the ultra ref clout chasing moment. It kind of, someone says it reminded them of when David Stern would go to the podium and try to like play off the crowd and say, "And the Knicks select," with a smirk on his face. And that was just a funny moment to me. So shout out to the clout chasing ref, man. We see you.
Or like a couple of years ago when Adam Silver walks up with the 9th pick, the New York Knicks select Kevin Knox. This was a really fun game. One of my favorite ones of the season so far. And underrated aspect is so Jim couldn't join us tonight, but Slice, I think you filled in admirably for the drunk Jim role. And I was just
you couldn't even tell I'm drunk. I'm just sick of the negativity, bro. I'm just sick of the negativity. And I think you were a little too negative tonight, Kyle. Especially 6 games in a row, you were a little too negative tonight.
Hey man, you know what they say? 2 negatives make a positive, so we just need 1 more negative person.
No, you know what they say about Young Bucks. Kyle's going through his terrible 2s, man.
I'm going through my rebellious teenage phase.
You have not heard drunk Slice yet, man. I'll tell you that, because I would have cursed you. I would have not have censored myself if I was drunk, man. I showed a lot of restraint with that negativity, man. I'm just sick of it. Move before I get to my little ramble. Let's let you get final thoughts.
Yeah. So the Knicks are on a roll. It looks like Randle's getting his second win. And like I said before, for your really young guys, not just Kyle, but everybody else on the board just listening to this is what it feels like. Win, to be fans of a winning team. Just go with it. Right? Don't stress out. Don't wait for don't be on the lookout for the other shoe to drop. Right? This is a good team. Whether they win anything this year, it doesn't matter. This is an excellent team, and they're heading in the right direction. So just be happy about that.
Yeah, to echo your point, this is what a good coach looks like.
Right.
This is what a coach who gets the best out of his players look like. And Gib, I will keep preaching, bro, because young bucks like Kyle just can't stay positive and enjoy a good win, man. Like 6 in a row, I've never seen teams, fans of a team get so negative about 6 wins in a row and get upset that their bum rookie player got less than 6 minutes in a game. You know what I mean? So I'm happy Julius Randle is not playing around. If he is, he was sick of the haters saying bad Julius is back. Bad Julius is back. He's spinning too much. 4 straight 30-point games, 6 straight wins for our New York Knicks, on this matinee Sunday. I'm going to take it. I'm going to be happy. 7 straight for the Knicks. 5 straight 30-point games from Julius is coming. I'm like Moose said, you know what I mean? This is a very different, very changed feeling atmosphere around New York. You know what I mean? I kind of want to get Paul Nepper back with us because it's like, hey, is this what the 90s felt like a little bit, right? Because we haven't felt this for a very, very long time since the Melo years, and even that was very far and few between. Enjoy these wins. The Knicks have a very winnable next 2 out of 3 games, I think. We appreciate everybody joining us today for the No Blood, No Foul podcast presented by Real GM. If you guys really like what you heard, make sure you give us that thumbs up and hit that like, and make sure you subscribe to make sure you can check out all of our future videos as soon as they come out and come live. We appreciate you guys checking us out. We'll catch you guys Tuesday night versus the Hornets, and we out.
It's no blood, no foul. It's no blood, no foul. Crying for calls, we took your morale. Congratulations till we run that clock out. MSG to Mecca, this is our house. NYC forever when we mob out. See that kid drip, got that clock out. Till we run